We're on? Okay. Hi, I'm Teresa. I'm here at the Urban Farming Institute in Oakland Park, Florida. I'm probably a new face to you. Cassie is usually on these videos at the Chef at 11, but I'm stepping in for her today. So you may have seen me on some of the Act Now series videos. Make sure to check out that series if you haven't already. But today we're going to introduce another pretty simple recipe. So I have a background in nutrition and fitness from Purdue University, and I try and make healthy eating and nutrition a priority in my lifestyle. But I also like to make it pretty simple and easy to follow, and affordable as well. So this recipe today hopefully will be something that includes ingredients you already have in your own home, only takes a few minutes to prepare, and makes for quite a healthy and nutritious meal for you. So this meal is going to be something that I would use for breakfast, kind of a grab-and-go snack. So we'll be doing overnight oats today. Overnight oats are different than the traditional oatmeal you heat up on the stove or in the microwave. But with this, we'll be mixing everything into a mason jar. And what happens is you throw it in the refrigerator overnight, and the oatmeal will soak up the liquid from some of the other ingredients we're using. And you eat it just raw, so it's still a very nutritious oatmeal recipe for you, but you don't need to spend any time cooking or preparing, especially in the morning. So I find right now, especially when I'm at home all day, as a lot of you will probably be, it's easy for me to mindlessly be snacking all day and forget to sit down for structured meals. Something like this is easy for me to pull out of the refrigerator and still eat a full and substantial meal. That way I'm not snacking throughout the day. If I start with something healthy, I'm more likely to eat healthy meals throughout the day rather than snacking on junk food just to kind of curb my appetite. So we're going to get started here. We'll start with a base recipe for the overnight oats, and then we're going to talk through quite a few different variations that you can be using to flavor these different meals. So what you'll need is some oatmeal. So it needs to be the traditional oats or rolled oats. You want to make sure you're not using like the instant oats, because it's really going to make for quite a different texture that you likely won't enjoy. So these traditional oats are going to be best at soaking up the liquids that we're putting in. You'll need some milk. I know Cassie in previous videos has talked through different types of milk. So you choose what works best for you in terms of any sort of intolerance you have, or maybe just flavor preference. And then we'll also have some chia seeds. So chia seeds will help with the texture, and we're going to be using some Greek yogurt. So I'll talk through each of these ingredients as we move on. You'll need some honey. Here we have some locally sourced honey and vanilla. So these are going to be all of the ingredients you'll need just for the base recipe of these overnight oats. And then, like I said, we'll talk through some other variations or lots of toppings you can be using on this recipe in a bit. So we're going to start here. We'll want to use some sort of airtight container. So I stick with mason jars because they're easy to screw the lid on, shake everything up, and stick in the refrigerator. And then they're very easy to use grab and go in the morning to eat straight from them. You can also use any sort of airtight Tupperware if you're able to shake it up. These just seem to work best for me. So we'll pour everything into this mason jar. It's very simple. These oats are going to be a great source of carbohydrate. They are a whole grain, so we need whole grains for a fiber source. They're going to help with lowering cholesterol, managing blood sugar, and they're going to be a great energy source. So you want to make sure you're still getting whole grains in your day. Then we'll add our milk here. I used a half a cup of oats. I'm going to use a 1/4 cup of milk and then a 1/4 cup of yogurt. So again, use whatever milk you prefer. And then I like to add the yogurt for a protein source, a healthy protein source. So Yogurt is also going to provide lots of healthy bacteria for our gut, and it's going to help absorb some of this moisture. It's going to help create some moisture for the oats to absorb. Some recipes you'll see only call for a milk and an oatmeal. Again, I'm adding in the Greek yogurt as a protein source. All right, so then we're going to add chia seeds. So I just add a tablespoon or two of chia seeds. You can add as much as you want. They really don't have much of a flavor, but they add a lot of awesome properties. So they're going to add a little bit of protein. They're going to add some fiber as well. So they do have a little bit of an interesting texture, so I add them in where I'm not going to notice that texture as much. But in these overnight oats, you can't even tell. So after that, we're going to add just a dash of vinegar to add a little bit of, not vinegar, vanilla, to add a little bit of flavor. With the Greek yogurt, I stuck with plain Greek yogurt, and that sometimes can have kind of a tangy flavor, so it helps to curb that with some vanilla, and then I add some honey as well. So again, this is locally sourced honey. I just add a dash of that for some sweetness. And that is the completion of your base. So I just shake all that up. It may take a few tries to figure out what consistency you're looking for. So I've stuck with the half cup of oats, quarter a cup of milk, and quarter cup of protein because it makes for a good consistency in the morning where the oats aren't too dry, but they're not too mushy either. Experiment with it. You really can't go wrong. It really just depends on your preference. So after that, after it's shaken up, you can just stick it in the fridge and leave it overnight. They need at least 4 hours to absorb all that moisture and create that great texture. That's why people stick with overnight oats, so you can really leave it in as long as you want. These will last up to 3 days. So I'll prep these on Sunday, say, and then have breakfast for a few days in a row, and then prep them for the end of the week. Then I'm going to show you what a few different variations with oats that have already sat overnight. So these oats have already sat overnight. They've absorbed most of that moisture, or most of that liquid, and now they're ready to eat. So you can really get creative with topping these. I brought a few different examples so we can go through a few different recipes. I know overnight oats sounds interesting because people aren't used to eating cold oatmeal. It does make for a really great breakfast, especially when it's super hot here in South Florida in the morning. So give it a try, and again, experiment with the texture based on what that ratio looks like to find something that works for you. So the first recipe, I'm going to use some frozen berries. These you can really top the night before and leave them on top of the mixture so that they thaw overnight. These are already thawed a bit, so I'm just going to add them right now. And then I'm going to top it with some mango as well. That came right here from the farm. So that would be my first recipe with some oats and a bit of fruits to add some sweetness. The second recipe is going to be sweeter in a different way. So this is one of my favorites. I'm going to add banana, again, pulled right from the farm here. I'm going to add some chocolate chips and some peanut butter. So mixing this all up makes for a super creamy and chocolatey morning breakfast. We're still adding some fruit. We're getting a little bit of extra protein and some healthy fats from that peanut butter. You can use almond butter or any sort of nut butter instead. And you have that sweetness from the chocolate, which makes for a delicious breakfast. And the third recipe I'm going to use, I call this apple pie overnight oats. So we're going to use some apples in here. A little, should probably actually add the cinnamon before you add the apples in, but a little bit of cinnamon and then some pecans. That, again, adds some fruit for lots of extra vitamins. You're adding some healthy fats from the nuts. You can use, again, any sort of nuts you'd like, and then a little bit of extra flavor with the cinnamon. So that makes 3 recipes here for overnight oats. It's something, again, you really can't mess up. You can try lots of different variations. Another few that I like to try are like a tropical fruit version where I'm adding maybe some toasted coconut and then some mango, some pineapple. I've done a chai overnight oats where I'm adding in a bunch of different spices and a little bit of chocolate as well. So you can really get creative with making this different each morning. It's great because, again, you can prep it ahead of time. It's ready to grab and go. You can experiment endlessly with different recipes. So give these a try. Make sure to check out our Act Now series and some other recipes through the Chef at 11 videos. And we hope you're staying healthy and safe, and hoping to see you again at the Urban Farming Institute soon.